Hello, John.
How are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
No, just fine. My wife decided. If you hear dogs in the background, my wife decided she wanted to take this opportunity to go to the store.
Oh,
So you don't know
okay.
anything about that, do you?
Not a thing. Not a thing at all. So who else is here?
Mike
Oh,
Melanson.
Mike Melanson. Hey, Mike Melanson. And Mike, just so you know, we are recording the meeting already, so there'll be a recording of it on our YouTube channel. USA Softball Houston Umpires. Phil's here. Shows Mike's trying to connect to audio. I don't know if he's having trouble with that or not. So John, how come I can never get my virtual background to work?
Because you don't put it in the background, maybe.
Can you hear me now, Brian?
I hear you, Mike.
Yes.
Okay, good.
You're echoing really bad though.
It could be because he's got two of them open. Two.
Okay, I'm gonna turn one on. Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh, much.
It's not as bad as the glare coming off of my screen right now, but
I realized I didn't have a mic on my PC.
oh. Did you
That-
connect with
that-
your Bluetooth?
Excuse me?
Did you connect with your Bluetooth, Mike?
No, I connected to my iPad.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Chris is here.
Don Seagrave said he wouldn't be joining us tonight. He's got an
All right.
umpiring. He's got an umpiring assignment.
I wish I had some. Is Tony with hair coming?
He should.
Tony without hair should also be here. Welcome, Baltimore.
So Brian, you out of school now?
Yes, sir.
Did you get picked up for summer school?
No, I did not. And I mean, doesn't really break my heart. A little extra money. So, but I'm biding my time until this time next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my house will be paid off. My daughter will be out of college. 2 cars will be paid off. So I'm going to be like wealthy.
Oh, well, actually, it's kind of an interesting thing because whenever our youngest finished up school and got into the police academy, we remodeled our kitchen. We got a new car, and he said, "Y'all get a raise?" And I said, "Yes, we did."
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. And then we're going to do some work in the house. So some work in the kitchen, some flooring needs to be done. Probably need some paint. So
Did you ever
Gonna
get
spend-
your fence fixed?
that's what I was going to say. I'm going to spend $750, my half of the fence with my neighbor. So I think they're going to start Monday.
What did it cost you, lineal foot?
About $22, $23.
That's not bad for you getting cedar or you getting treated?
Cedar, treated cedar. I mean, it's
You don't treat cedar.
oh, well, okay. Cedar, 6-inch or 5 and 5.5 inch cedar pickets with a 2x6 rock board at the bottom. Sorry.
That's okay.
He told me it was $770 in labor. So with 77 feet, I was able to do that math. That's pretty good. And then the materials are going to be right at $800. So yep. So what's that? 770 and 800. So it's about $1,600. So, and we're going to do a neighbor-friendly fence. You know what that is?
Yep. Half and
That's what we
half.
want. Yeah, that's what we're going to do, a neighbor-friendly fence.
Hello, Tyler.
Did Tyler show up?
Yeah.
Hey, Tyler. Robert, you're here, sir. Hang on. Make a co-host. Robert, you are now set up as a co-host. If you need anything else, I'm here to help, as is John, because he's probably smarter than I am. Time is it? Oh, we still got time.
Oh, yeah. So, Tyler, how's the working world now that you've been a year out of graduation? You can turn that mic on so we can hear you talk.
Apologies. What is like non-existent? So
We got about half of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
the working world is kind of non-existent. HEB does, I guess, for now.
Welcome, Robert Shaw.
Hey, Brian, can you hear me?
I certainly can.
Okay. First time I've done this, so I'm trying to figure it out.
Just ask Rose, she'll help you.
Yeah, she's not here.
Oh, God.
I'm all
Well,
on
I'm
my
proud of
own.
you for getting on then. So, Jared Arrington is here. Is it Violet? Is that, I don't remember the neck, recognize that name.
Hey, this is Victor. I'm using my daughter's account, Victor Navarro. I also got my daughter with me, Victoria,
Okay.
which she also started umpiring.
Welcome to the meeting.
Welcome, Victor.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Who's on the Galaxy up there? I can't, there's darkness on the picture. Who is that?
Hey, Brian. Hey, guys.
Hey, Jerry.
Gary.
My phone thought I said, hey, Siri. Robert, do you need any help with setting anything up, getting ready?
I assume you can see me, you can hear me. I guess I'm okay.
Sorry, Robert Shaw. I meant Robert Gonzalez. I
Oh,
apologize.
okay. Sorry.
That's
Oh, you're
okay.
okay.
No, yeah. Robert Shaw, can you turn on your video camera?
I thought
Maybe you
I
don't
had.
want to.
So. No, it's not that I don't want to.
Well, I was impressed with your Obeco picture with the Obeco shirt, to be honest with you.
Let's try
There's
that.
Robert Shaw. There you go. That's Robert
There
Shaw
you
right
go.
there.
All right. Figured it out all by myself.
We are proud of you. At your age, that's an accomplishment too.
Yeah, I'll remember that. Just be careful and remember who started you in this and how many stories I have to tell.
I understand. I
Right.
understand.
You're going to be the presenter in the next meeting, then, Robert. Yeah, just because you're no longer on the field doesn't mean you can't be a presenter.
I second that motion.
Jared, you're already issuing motions already?
Why not?
Jesus.
Hey, Jared.
Hey, I'm like you now. I'm out and about like Robert now. Hey, I'm finna go do a run like Robert Gonzalez.
Take that hat off so you don't get it stained.
Is that Scott Guerin that showed up? All I see is Scott. There's no video with it, so I'm hoping that's Scott Guerin.
Yeah, I'm here. Big deal.
It is. Okay.
There goes the neighborhood.
Well, that happened when I showed up, so.
Sorry.
4 minutes, guys, and we'll start. Robert, you ready? Robert Gonzalez?
I'm about as ready as I'm gonna be. I'm just trying to make sure I get, you said there's a button on the right-hand side?
No, at the bottom it says share screen, at least on mine. Then the green it says share the screen.
Got it.
Click on that, and then it'll ask you how you want to do it. So when you're ready, just have at it.
Got it.
Alyssa Ramirez, welcome. Megan, welcome. Room's getting better as we go.
Finally, a good picture of you.
Who, me? There's no such thing. Did we freeze? Oh, there we go. Robert's showing us the screen. Hey, Robert,
Yes,
can you minimize that real quick? We got 2 things to do before we get to your presentation,
absolutely.
if you don't mind. Thank you. 7:00. We got 3 minutes before we start. We'll start at 7:04. I do that because that's what the tardy bell at my school would be at 4 minutes after start time. So after that, you're tardy.
School's out, dude.
Yeah, it's just kind of a.
After that, I'm not coming.
Yeah, right.
Doors closed.
With my
Yeah.
students, and I can't do that, but I wish. They don't allow us to do that.
Pretty curtains.
Thank you.
No, he's talking Robert Dean.
I don't know who it
yeah.
is. All I can see is curtains.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Whoa.
Hey, Robert, you're still sporting a full beard there. I'm thinking about cutting mine off.
Tony with hair's here.
Mine comes off. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Mine comes off when the pandemic goes away.
Oh, okay.
So
Don't
I'm
hold
It
gonna
may never go away.
gonna be
Sometime next year, huh?
be ugly. I'm gonna be ugly for a while.
No, I think
That's a state
it's
of being.
amazing. We got to get to a certain point in life when we can look this distinguished.
I'm trying to mute this thing, guys. I don't want y'all hearing me.
Why? I muted you.
You
Since
go-
I set up the meeting, I have the ability to mute you, Robert. So you're muted. You're muted, Robert.
You are
Robert?
unmuted by host.
Do you want to be muted, Robert?
I don't understand this thing, but anyway.
It's okay. Do you want me to mute you? I can.
Yeah, go ahead and mute me.
Yes, sir. Okay. 7:03. One more minute. Almost ready. What the heck? Let's go ahead and start. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys real quick because I want to show you guys something. Okay, share. And that ain't what I want to share. This is what I wanted to share with you guys. That's not it. Hang on, I got to zoom in a little bit. So we have opened our Umpire Hall of Fame, and we have just made 3 inductees, brought in 3 new inductees, and they're in the room tonight, and I wanted to recognize them. In my 30 years, they've had a profound effect on USA Softball Houston and ASA Houston. And that would be Scott Guerin, Mike Melanson, and Robert Shaw. They are in the room today. And here are some of their accomplishments on the screen. All of them have, well, they've all greatly influenced what I've been able to do as an umpire. Without them, I wouldn't be where I am. Not that that's anything that special, but without them, I wouldn't be where I am. I can accredit Robert and Mike Byerly to my foray into being selected for national championships, because without them, I would have never made it. So you guys, on behalf of everybody here, if you would like to congratulate them, I would appreciate it. I know they would. They've really earned the honor. And so, and before I finish with the Hall of Fame thing, what's going to happen is they are going to be, where's my screen at now? Where'd it go? Where did it go?
You guys now understand how much work it took for us to get him to umpire?
Thank you, Robert.
Some things never change.
Yeah, that's true.
I still don't understand now why my screen won't come up here.
What's your Zoom screen?
No, my whole screen.
What are we looking at?
All I see is like the oh, somebody just joined, I think. Hang on. That's not what I wanted. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I think. Ay. I don't know where my screen went to. That ain't it. Am I even still sharing my screen? There we
Yes,
go. There's
you
that.
are.
There we go. Now y'all are back where y'all belong. Okay. So what we did, just so everybody understands, we created a committee that is now the Hall of Fame committee. Stoney was involved. John Scott had input, although I think I kind of ramrodded it. If you feel that way, John, I apologize. But the 3 new inductees, along with Mike Byerly, who is actually the player rep, and Stoney Burke, our commissioner, will make up the committee. And every year we will nominate whoever we feel deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And there's some criteria out there that'll all be posted on the website. But I think Robert, Scott, and Mike, if y'all want to chime in here about what we decided requirements, I think we left them pretty broad, didn't we?
Yeah, we left them very broad. And the fact that it was 2 months ago, I can't remember what they were anyway. So. I'm sure you wrote it down, or Byerly did.
Yeah, I did. No, I did. But I think the first criteria is you have to have been retired from umpiring. Did we
Yes,
not
that's
decide
correct.
on that?
2 years, if I remember correctly.
Right,
Minimum?
2 years. 2 years retired from umpiring, and there's some other things, small requirements. We didn't want to make it a limiting thing because we don't want to base it on national championships or anything like that. And so I wish my dog would stop barking. But anyway, so there'll be a form that you guys anybody can fill out and submit it. It'll go to the committee. I won't have anything to do with it. It'll go to the committee and Mike Byerly and Stoney, and they will be the ones to decide who, if anybody, gets inducted into the Hall of Fame for USA Softball Houston at that point in time. So if you guys have anybody you think should be in, the only criteria, like I said, I remember is it had to have been retired 2 years from umpiring. So,
Brian, I think that was pretty much the one specific that we agreed upon.
right.
Kind of loosely based it on the national qualifications without some of the requirements for national tournaments.
Right.
And then whoever decided to nominate someone would generally have to make the case for them.
Right.
Yeah,
And I think that's the best way to go about it.
Yep.
And then
Mr.
the
Malonza,
group
do you
was,
have any? Go ahead, Robert.
I said, then the group would take what was presented as a case and decide whether or not that met whatever requirements I guess the group felt needed to be met.
Right. Mr. Malonzo, would you like to say anything on your behalf?
No, my only comment was, you know, in the past, it was not as easy, but it was somewhat easier to obtain national tournaments, especially in Texas, because for some ungodly reason, there was no qualified umpires throughout the country, and they kept coming back here and wanting people from here, which bodes well for our training and also bodes well for the character of the umpires that we have. That being said, it was afforded us the opportunity to visit a lot of tournaments and if nothing else, to add those to our resume. For what, $5 in the resume gets you a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Maybe.
But I do want to acknowledge and thank Stoney for his support, and you, Brian, and Mike Byerly for your support in creating this endeavor. I think it's been a long time coming, and I know that our former commissioner Ron would be very proud of the accomplishments. He was a firm believer in the national tournament and showing off the talent that we had here, not only in the state of Texas, but especially in the city of Houston. So, it became a big deal for him in a lot of ways. So I know he would be very happy and very, very proud of what you guys have accomplished and what you've done with it. So that's all I've got.
Thanks, Mike. Scott, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I could say ditto. That'd be pretty cheap, wouldn't it?
Very.
No. Yeah, wouldn't be surprising though. No, all the way back to, our Ron's predecessor, John, and then and the wonderful years with Ron and Stoney, and they all come from the same mold. They all supported softball. And the amazing thing was they all supported umpires. And we realized early on this was an umpire-based association. And it's always been that way. It's an umpire-driven association. And we all should be proud of that. The fact that three of us lasted as long as we did is amazing. I'm thankful I did. I enjoyed every minute of it. Wouldn't change anything, the ups and downs, and it was a great time. And but I do realize that, at least for me, I think Mike and I, Robert maybe a little less, but Mike and I experienced some changes in the atmosphere of softball in the last 5 to 10 years, and it's time for some new blood, and I appreciate that. And there's new mechanics coming down and new philosophies, and that's all well and good. And I think you got to embrace it and run with it. And all I'm planning on doing is helping everybody achieve what they want to achieve and recognize those people that deserve it. And I appreciate it.
Scott, how long did you umpire?
I don't know. Started in 78. I can't subtract. That's 22 and 40 some odd years.
A long damn time.
Mike and I were right with each other. He said 37. I'd say 36 for me then. It was right next to each other.
So what kept you doing it for 37 years, Scott?
I enjoyed the sport. I played for 15 or 20. Mike and I played on the same team for 10 or 15 years. So then we umpired at the same time.
Field?
Matter of fact.
Didn't you meet your wife? Didn't you meet your wife on a softball field?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I thought so.
Matter of fact, oh yeah, yeah. Softball's been around in with Melanson and I pretty close to each other for a long time since high school. So it's been an important part of our lives, and the playing part was really important. And then once we got in umpiring, it just took off. And we saw that there was so much that needed to be done in the Houston area, and we were very blessed to have some of the national staff come in on a regular basis for several years. Well, they still do. And getting that kind of exposure to umpires, local umpires, is really important. And those national staff members remember that. In fact, I just got a note from Dan Blair just a few minutes ago, and it's good to keep in touch with guys like that. It's been a blessing. So am I sad I'm not doing it anymore? Not really. Life is pretty busy right now with just like Mike with grandkids. I don't know about you, Robert, but I got grandkids and I like to enjoy them. So, you know, it is what it is, but life moves on. Really enjoyed the time we had together, and I thank Brian a whole bunch for letting me stay involved. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
I'll shut up.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to, part of the reason for my retirement was that I had felt like I had accomplished most of what I had set out to do, or somebody had set out for me to do. Ron Waltrip set out a goal to get somebody internationally certified, which proved to be a bigger nut than either one of us thought it could be. It took umpteen dozen major national tournaments to finally get the stigma. Is that a safe word to say, Scott? Because it wasn't. I don't know what to call it, but the blockage broken against Texas umpires. But it was enjoyable. I got to see a lot of softball, and retirement. A wise old umpire once told me to leave before they tell you to leave. And I saw so many umpires that did it strictly for the money and were beyond when they should have gotten out. And I swore that wouldn't be me. So I miss the camaraderie, and I miss the guys, and I miss hanging out together. But I don't miss the heat, and I don't miss the grind. So,
Amen.
And I love spending time with my grandkids and imparting some of that knowledge that I obtained not only through playing ball but umpiring ball, to where I can actually help my grandkids and my son-in-law coach his team, and it's a rewarding experience. So I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Robert, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, Scott took my thunder away when he said ditto. And
I expanded on that, Robert.
I thought about it as these two fine older gentlemen spoke. I started in '71 doing baseball when I was 14, and worked my way through college umpiring. So it's something I've always done, and got more involved in it when I figured out I could make money umpiring and nobody would pay me to play. And then I was fortunate, as Scott and Mike have both talked about, some of the older gentlemen when we were young who were here, and the fast pitch tournament that the association put on, and the clinics that they put on, and that all made me a better umpire. And the money became secondary, or thirdly or fourthly. I umpired because I enjoyed it. Particularly when I got to the national level and got to work the national tournaments, and you saw umpires that I thought rivaled the people that we had in Houston, but there were so few of them. When we came back to Houston, and we had good umpires, and I think it was because of the training that we gave. And so, I gave it up because of needs and because of work and things I was doing. I was working 12 hours a day at that time, and it just wasn't feasible for me to continue. But I appreciate what this has done. As I told Brian when we started this, I'm not sure I fall into the category of Scott and Mike, but I appreciate the recognition. I know what they did. I hope they think I did something close to that, because they were both, in my eyes, umpires that I looked up to. And yeah, we trained you, Brian, and I think we did a halfway decent job. So maybe that's what gets me in.
There you go. Well, guys, I appreciate your comments and your words and your support. I think if I called on any one of you to help support something we were going to do as USA Softball Houston, you would be there to back us up. One thing I will tell you, I remember going to my very first clinic 30 some odd years ago, where we had 600 umpires at Fondy Gym with Bernie Profato, Ron Jeffers, Henry Pollard, and Walt Sparks
Crying
for the
right.
national staff, all there. 600 umpires in one gymnasium for an umpire clinic, guys. We don't even have 600 umpires in Houston now. So think about that.
Well,
Things are a little different.
Fondy was kind of the place that we went back when it was MHSUA, and we would generally have a couple of hundred umpires at a time. So while you're talking about 600 being a little unusual, we used to generally teach a couple of hundred umpires over a weekend.
I'll give you a little background. My first year was 1976, and at the time MHSUA had 960 some odd umpires, and we did classes at U of H and Fondy, and watched the guys get up and read the rule book. So I think we graduated or graduated from that, and with the commissioner's help and everything, we made it. We wasn't so dry, and it was actually fun to go to a clinic, and you actually, I don't know if you learned a whole lot by watching Ron Jeffers, but you learned. you were amused, if nothing else.
You learned from everybody else and had a good laugh from Ron.
I think I learned more from Ron by taking him back to the airport a few times, because he would sit there and he would tell you things right off the cuff. I mean, the man had a it was like a story machine. You put a nickel in and they just don't stop until he fell asleep. Once he was tired, he just fell asleep and snored like a freight train. But I think we moved to not only to move to a whole lot fewer umpires. I don't think anybody can handle 1,000 umpires, but I hope that we made it enjoyable for people. We tried to pattern our clinics after what they did, and I think we had a lot of fun doing it. So I'm hoping that everybody, if we can help, and I know that I speak for Robert and for Scott, that if we can do anything to help in any way, we're always here. Like I say, I don't have any intention of stepping on a softball field and calling a ball or a strike anymore. But as far as helping everybody or giving some advice or giving some wisdom, we're always here, and we would love to do it because it's just in our DNA and in our blood. So with that, I'd like to bid you guys have a good meeting and a good season if you get the chance to have one at some point. But I'm truly touched and honored by this award. So, adios. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Well said, Mike.
Thanks.
Ted Stewart, did you have your hand up for something? Maybe not. Cool. Okay. John's got something he wants to show everybody that's very important in our times. Robert and Scott, and Mike, we'd love for you guys to stick around. If you got to go, we understand, but we'd love for you to stick around and watch our meeting. John, go ahead.
Actually, I'm not going to show it. We've been experiencing some issues here in the country lately that were wrong. Everybody knows they're wrong, and we need to do something to go and make sure that we eliminate it as we move forward. And as a result of that, Stony Burke today our commissioner put out an email to everybody in the Houston Association that it says the USA Softball is built on the foundation of providing equal opportunities for anyone to participate in the game of softball. All persons should be treated with dignity and respect, and there is no room nor tolerance for racism within our community. We recognize that this is a societal problem and that we must use our position as a leader in the sport to promote inclusiveness. We encourage our community to show empathy towards others and join us in advocating for equality for all. Now, if you didn't get a copy of that, send me a private message, and I'll make sure you get a copy of that. The last thing I want to say before we turn the presentation over to Robert for tonight is, obviously this year is unique from the standpoint of the fact that many of us are just now getting on the field. But if you have registered and not received your umpire card, there could be a reason for that. It could be that you didn't complete the registration. It could be that you didn't do safe sports. It could be because you only paid for a background check and not your full registration fee. And it could be that you didn't attend a clinic. And earlier we put out an email indicating that because of the situation this year, we're going to allow everybody that hadn't gotten to a clinic to go and participate in the National Federation of High School Sports softball online training. It's a little short video course. Obviously, it's fast pitch, but many things apply to both fast and slow pitch. And that opportunity to do it for free is going to come to a close on July 1st unless they extend it. So if you didn't get to a clinic, go out there and get it done. Send myself or Brian an email indicating that you've done it, completed the course, and you'll get a certificate at the end of it. And then that way we can eliminate that as one of the things that you might have as an issue that's keeping you from getting your umpire card. Last and foremost, USA Softball, as part of a federal mandate this year, is requiring that anybody that comes in contact with any JO fast pitch players be safe sports trained. USA Softball has taken upon themselves, USA Softball of Houston has taken upon ourselves to say that anybody that gets on the softball field must be safe sports trained. And whether you are only doing slow pitch in adult games, there can be kids around the field that you need to be safe sports trained to be able to recognize situations that may occur with non-participating children. And so we want to encourage everybody to go and get that done, because you will not be allowed to move forward in the approval process until your safe sports training is completed. You'll do that back through your registration portal, and you go to your home plate, scroll down, and then you'll see Safe Sports on the tab. You've got to go and open up an account with the Safe Sport organization. And then once you get that set up, then you'll take the course. It takes anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. There'll be a short quiz after each segment. It's not something that you'll ever fail, because if you don't get some of the concepts, you can go back and take it again. So with that, if you got any questions, just let me know, and let's move on with the show.
Robert Shaw, you had your hand up for something?
No.
Oh, told me you put a hand up. I thought you had something I wanted to add to that. Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, the show is yours, sir. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Is my screen being shared?
It is.
It is. You can start your presentation.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for all of my fellow Blues for being a part of this presentation today. I'm honored to be the presenter. And before I start, I'd like to say my congratulations to Mike, Scott, and Rob for being ambassadors of this game. And thank you for being mentors to a lot of officials out here. And one day we will all strive to be in y'all's shoes from the game of softball. It wasn't really planned, but their introduction actually ties into my presentation, because one of the things that I really feel strongly about is setting a goal for what we do as officials. Having an idea of why are you a USA softball official? So what caused you to come into this game? Was it money? Was it the camaraderie that we just heard these two gentlemen talk about? Was it the love of the game? Or did you feel like there was something that you can bring to the table that's going to make a difference in the players, the coaches, the experience of what they were going to have with you coming on the field and being a USA softball official? So with that being said, I really feel that you have to have a goal in order to set yourself towards a direction of what you plan on being. So do you plan on being a league umpire? If so, that's great. But does that expound on to being now a tournament umpire? From there, we have national schools, national assignments, the accolades of being in the medal program or the National Indicator Fraternity or being on the elite status, you know, to get in those accolades. And then being a WBSC certified official. And then finally is your ultimate goal to be in the Olympics. We have to have these goals. We have to have a direction in which we're heading in order for us to be successful. So good umpiring, this is something that comes actually straight from the manual. So successful umpires possess certain common qualities that make them what we consider good umpiring. Thorough knowledge of the rules, effective communication skills, both verbally and being able to listen, having good game management, self-control. If everybody can do me a favor and put themselves on mute, that's going to help out tremendously. Self-control, then the knowledge of the mechanics. One thing that we can be 100% certain of is that there's no substitute for game experience. Our judgment is learned through actual experiences on the field. Those lessons are invaluable. Getting in game situations is going to help us to improve on our judgment. Being able to see balls, strikes, safes, and outs, things like that are going to help us progress in our game and building better judgment. Hustle. It goes without saying. We hustle to every spot that we're going to get to. We hustle on and off the field just like the players do. They are athletes who are constantly working on their game. We should be doing the same. Our efforts are going to show if we're walking, if we're slouching towards our position, if we don't have good posture on the field. All that is going to show, and it's going to send mixed signals to the players and the teams. The athletes themselves are continuously working on their conditioning to improve their game, their movements. We as umpires need to do the same thing. We've touched on this a lot in other meetings, but I felt that it's important to continue to bring it up. But our professional appearance sets really the beginning. It sets the first impression when we're walking on the field with a clean pressed USA softball uniform. Our shoes are clean. You don't have dirt left over from the last game. You come on the field with clean shoes, they're shined. You have the official USA softball cap on. You have USA softball bags. You've brought your indicator. You've brought your plate brush. You've brought a pen. And most importantly, for those games where it's needed, you bring that flipping coin. Having the appropriate gear is essential as well, too. You cannot show up to a fast pitch game and not have a face mask. You don't want to show up to any game without an indicator. So making sure that you just show up with all your appropriate protective equipment as well as all the other items that I mentioned here in this particular slide. Communication. Communication is extremely important, both in USA softball. We talk about communication as what we expect. We expect communication. We expect that you have verbal, visual, and nonverbal. So kind of what are some of those examples when we talk about communication? Well, verbally, I'm going, giving verbal communication as even saying out, safe. A visual could be your hand signal. And then your nonverbal can be that you're in your set position, which tells me that you're communicating with me, indicating that you're ready to go. So we use 3 different types of communication when we're on the field, and sometimes we're using them simultaneously. So that's an important aspect of what we do while we're on the field working with our team members. And again, when I talk about conditioning, maintaining a good level of fitness, that is extremely important, especially where we work in the Texas heat. You have to condition yourself to be ready for this game. You cannot expect to be sitting in a chair for 6 months and then come out and start umpiring and be able to be the best that you can be. This is a constant thing that you're working on to maintain a good level of fitness. As you guys have heard in this beginning of this call, generally during this time, I am doing my running. I'm maintaining my good level of fitness because when I step on the field, I want to be able to hustle and get to my position and not be in a situation where I'm tired and not giving 100% to the players and the coaches. Conditioning is also going to help you look good in your uniform. We talked about professional appearance. Conditioning will help you fit into that uniform and fit it properly to where it's not hanging over or coming untucked. It just gives you that good impression. When you walk on the field and you look good in your uniform, that's already setting a standard for those players and that coach. And conditioning, most importantly, is going to help you be able to keep up with those players who are out there every day on the grind, getting better and better. And we know how this game has progressed from the speed of the game and where it's come from. The players are now faster. They're doing things that that in the past has been not done before. I mean, these kids are extremely good players. And then in the slow pitch side, we've got former MLB players, former college players, former high school stars playing. So you have to be able to keep up with them as well too. This is not just for the fast pitch side of it. This also pertains to the slow pitch side, which is how I curtailed my presentation, both for both sides of the spectrum here, from a fast pitch side to a slow pitch side. Game management and control. Again, we talk about hustle. That there's nothing worse than me seeing an umpire out there who's not hustling, who's walking to their position, who looks like they don't want to be there. That all sends a negative message. Even though you may have different feelings inside, it's your external that's everybody's looking at, because that's all we have to go off of. Keeping a good, even temperament throughout the game. Sometimes I get accused of looking like I'm upset, but it's not. I have a certain way of doing things when I'm on the field. I'm in deep concentration. But temperament, when dealing with certain situations, is also going to help you control the game. Being able to talk to a coach who's arguing balls and strikes, being able to walk over to the coach and remind him that that's not allowed. Talking to a coach about a judgment call, being able to tell them that, coach, this is a judgment call. Regardless of how you feel of this call, this is a judgment call, and I need you to understand that. So being able to have that even temperament, dealing with different types of scenarios on that field, because sometimes it may not be a coach. Sometimes it may not be a situation. Sometimes it may be you, and you have to take a look at yourself and bring yourself down, because you may have felt you missed something, or you're hearing the crowd get on you, and now you're starting to bring yourself down. That's all about your temperament and being able to control the game. Utilizing good mechanics, from the plate mechanic, whether you're calling balls and strikes on a fast pitch side, or you're standing behind a catcher on having, excuse me, I'm gonna move this out of the way. Something happened where, there it is. Getting your good stance in the set position, moving from behind a plate. Too many times I'm doing evaluations or I'm watching the game where plate umpires are standing at the plate making a call. There's movements that we have to make. There's a mechanic for everything that we do. On base mechanics, it's understanding timing, it's judgment, the signals, both verbally and with your hands, the different types of signals that we're going to be giving, and understanding those mechanics and how they affect the game and how they can affect the situation. Positioning is going to equal credibility. We talked about this in the past where we pre-pitch. We're pre-pitching what could happen. Pre-pitching can also be making sure you have the proper count, the number of outs. You're pre-pitching to identify player positioning. You know, it looks like the shortstop's going to be covering second base. You may even make that announcement. I heard Tony mention that in the last presentation. He'll ask him, hey, who's covering? You know, you can look at the outfield. Are they playing in? What does that mean? Well, that means they may know this player. This player likes to hit dinkers. He likes to hit shots real close to the line. Or this player, she bunts a lot or she slaps. You know, you could start looking at certain things to give different types of tendencies from the players, especially when they're on base. You can look to see if they're fast. How fast do they come up the line on that hit or that walk? Do they look like they're going to steal? Being able to do all this is going to help your credibility. And when you're doing this, you're concentrating. You have to concentrate on the game. There's many different things going on. There's people yelling. There's fans doing certain things on the side. There's players in the dugouts doing things that sometimes they're not supposed to be doing. But your concentration needs to be full focus on what you're doing. Whether you're a plate umpire calling balls and strikes or out of the box, to the base umpire who is going to call a bang play at first base. And then you have to do the, what do I do if? What do I do if the ball's hit to left field? Am I button hooking? What do I do if the runner tries to steal? Where am I going to go? That's all about pre-pitching. What do I do if? If you can start to understand those things, it's just going to help you get into proper position, which is going to give you better credibility when you make that call. A lot of times people will argue a call because of the positioning that you got into. A coach sometimes doesn't have the best angle, but sometimes they do, and we have to understand that. But if they seem that you have made the effort to get into a particular position, it may be a different conversation that you have. Therefore, the temperament and the control of the game will be different as well too. Rule knowledge, we know, is extremely essential for the success of what you're doing. Getting your rule book out more than one time a year to take your tests is not going to work. You've got to be constantly in your rule book. I constantly study rules, whether I'm doing USA softball or NCAA. I am in my rule book all the time. It's been mentioned previous times in this meeting where people carry multiple rule books, one at home, one in their car, one in their office. You know, I do the same thing. There's a lot of times that I'll take a rule book and I put tabs in them, and I'll go to that tab and I just want to read it in full detail so I fully understand the rules and I'm able to explain the rule to the coach or the player, whomever's asking me. I can give the exact ruling to them. Now, I can be honest with you and tell you that there's been times where I've even got it wrong, but it's the confidence in how I said it that we broke away, that meeting broke apart, and that coach believed what I said just because I was confident in how I came across and how I read the rule on how I thought it was. You've got to be a constant student of this game. It's just, you're constantly studying to be the best at what you can be. I go back to my opening slide where I said, why are you a USA umpire? Is it for the money? Well, even if it is just for the money, you're getting paid to do something that you're expected to be really good at. So just reading the rule book one time isn't going to put you in that situation. It's just like work. They're paying you to be an employee. Well, they're expecting you to be a certain level of employee. That's what the coaches and the kids are expecting, or the players are expecting from you as well too. So understanding those rules, attending clinics like a national umpire school, or when you do attend a clinic, are you an active member of that clinic? Are you providing guidance to other members who may be new? Setting the example, being an ambassador, I continue to say that, but just being a leader at these clinics, maybe attending more clinics than just the one that you needed to get certified. Maybe you attend 2 or 3 clinics, ask to be a clinician in one of these clinics so that you can continue to educate others. And at the same time, you're studying because you're going to be a clinician, that it's going to help you be a better umpire, because now you're going to understand rules from a different perspective, because now you're teaching others. Timing. Whenever we talk about timing, it's important that we see the whole play. You have to be confident in your call, but the one thing that we don't want you to do is delay a call. It should be a slight hesitation. What you want to do is you want to slow down your thought process and analyze what just happened. Come up confident and make your call. Whether it's going to be a routine safe or a cell safe, come up with confidence. Make everybody in the park or on the field or in the dugout, make them look at you and go, okay, he saw that or she saw that. Confidence is what you need whenever you're making calls. When you're behind the plate, whether it's slow pitch or fast pitch, timing the pitch is coming in, timing it when it hits the glove, boom, ball, hits the glove, boom, strike, hits the ground, boom, ball, same thing. Time your pitches. The last thing we want you to do is to call a ball before it even hits the ground or the glove. Stop and see all 4 elements. USA Softball talks about the 4 elements as ball, base, offense, and defense. Stop. Make sure you've seen all 4 of those elements before you make the call. Again, confidence. And last thing we don't want you to do is running or walking while you're making that call. So all calls need to be stationary. So that's all part of timing. So we're going to go into some actual plays here. I felt it was important that I did it from both a fast pitch perspective as well as from a slow pitch perspective. So you slow pitch umpires on the line, stand by, because the next slide's going to be for you. So in this scenario here, we have runner on first. Starting position is going to shade the runner at first base while starting behind and off the first base side of the second baseman. Square to the plate and adjust as needed. Go to the ready position at the start of the pitch, and this is where you start to pre-pitch. When the ball is hit to the outfield, as a plate umpire, you're going to trail the runner no more than 1/3 of the way up the first base in fair territory and read the play. This goes back to a previous slide where I talked about mechanics, where you have to move. This is what we're going to be doing. We're moving from behind the plate, going up 1/3 of the way. As the lead runner approaches second base, you now have a secondary position that you must achieve. So you're going to move towards third base to obtain the proper angle. Then close your distance as the plate develops to get an unobstructed view. Your distance should be 10 to 12 feet from the plate. This is going to give you the unobstructed view. It's going to put all the elements in front of you. And remember, you have the play on the lead runner to third base at any play at the plate. So position yourself in a situation where if it's a pass ball at third base, that you know where you're going to be running down the line to get into a call that you may have to make at home plate. As the base umpire, one of my biggest pet peeves is as you pick up the ball, glance at the runner and hustle inside the diamond. My biggest pet peeve is I see umpires watching the ball and staying on the ball itself, forgetting that they have runner responsibility. This is where the inside out theory comes into play. You're going to come into the diamond, button hook at a minimum depth of 10 to 12 feet, continue to alternate between the ball glancing at the runner. You're going to move parallel to the baseline, staying ahead of the runner. Remember, you're responsible for first, second, and the last runner to third. One of the things that I see a lot of is umpires coming in on the inside out theory. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They come in, they button hook, but they button hook towards second base instead of towards the trail runner coming from first, and they miss potential situations like an obstruction at first base or a missed base. On the slow pitch side, it's almost the same thing, except our position is a little bit different. Where I've got it highlighted here, where square to the plate and adjust as needed based on the depth and the location of the second baseman or any additional players positioned in the infield. Go to the ready position at the start of the pitch. And again, this is where we start to pre-pitch. As you can see in the top diagram there, there's two different positions based on the players that are playing on the field. You may have that rover come up. Therefore, as a slow pitch umpire, you may have to adjust. And I think we've had that previously brought up in a meeting as well too, based on the position of and the depth of the players on the field. We're going to do the same thing as a plate umpire. Nothing changes there. So there's some similarities from the slow pitch to the fast pitch side where we're still going to come out, trail the runner, and then we got our secondary positions that we have to get to in order to get the lead runner going into third base as that runner approaches second base. As base umpires, same thing. You're going to inside out theory. You're coming inside the diamond. You're button hooking towards first base, minimum of 10 to 12 feet. Continuing to alternate your viewpoint from the ball and the runner, keeping all those elements in front of you, and keeping in mind you're responsible for first, second, and the trail runner going into third base. Runner at first base in fast pitch with the fly ball to the outfield. Again, movement. There has to be movement. We're going to move from behind the plate. You're responsible for fair or foul, catch or no catch, and any play on the lead runner going into third base and at the plate. If the base umpire goes out, number one, he's going to owe you some money for doing that because now you have reverted to one man. He has put you in a bad situation. If the base umpire, if you decide to go to the outfield and it's a can of corn, you're buying drinks all night. Just want to make that clear. But you're going to pick up the ball, glance as a runner at the runner as you hustle inside the diamond about halfway between first and second base, button hook in the minimum 10 to 12 feet again, and continue to watch and being responsible for your bases and your runner. Same thing, slow pitch really doesn't change. Again, we go back to the depth depending on the players and their positioning. Again, if your base umpire goes out on a two-man system and he leaves you down to a one-man, he definitely owes you some money, or he's buying drinks if he goes out on that can of corn. You got to continue to umpire though. Regardless of what happens, don't buy a ticket and watch the game. Your job is to umpire. Things are going to happen. And if you miss them, somebody on the field didn't miss it. So it's your job to continue to umpire and maintain focus and look for things that could potentially happen. This is what we talk about again, going back to pre-pitching. You're looking for things like, did the runner leave early? Was there an obstruction? Maybe there was some malicious contact. You have two teams with some bad blood, two players with some bad blood. You may have missed some malicious contact and you could have prevented it by, paying attention, and you may have to eject one of the players because of it. It could be a missed base. Don't stop umpiring and be a spectator. Our job is to umpire and officiate the game. Button hook again towards the trail runner, open up. We want you to open up so that you see the runner touching second base, and if they're rounding going to third, then you know their responsibility is no longer yours. It's the plate umpire. Turn your head to ensure that the batter runner touched first base. Too many times I see umpires come in, they button hook, and they keep their eyes focused on the lead runner. They forget that there's a trail runner who possibly could have missed a base, could have been obstructed. Always umpire and be prepared to react when something's brought up. You can assist on bloopers to the outfield. You know, some of the things that, you know, it's not an actual mechanic. It's kind of like an unwritten rule, so to speak. But if you're in a position to see a blooper and it's a catch or no catch, you know, there's certain things we can do. You can have your hands by your side. A closed fist would be a catch. An open fist would be a no catch. You're going to help your plate official who may have not had the best angle on that. Now, you're not going to make it so visible that everybody sees it, because if you're saying catch and he comes up with no catch, we may have now a situation. Now you can get together and you can make it right because you did see it. But if you can provide just some non-mechanic indicators to help your partner, that'll go a long way. If you do decide that you're going to go out, it goes back to the communication that I talked about earlier in my presentation about going verbally saying something, I got it, or I'm going, or I'm at three, letting somebody know that you're there, you're communicating with your partner. If you do go and it's going to be a shoestring catch, coming up strong, confident, catch, with your hands pumping in the air, or no catch, giving a safe signal, indicating there's no catch, letting everybody know that you were confident and you did your job and you went out there and you got that. The rule of thumb is when you go out, you stay out, but I'm going to tell you guys, it's okay to work your way back in and assist if it's needed. Again, the rule of thumb is when you go out, you stay out. But if your partner has been put in a situation because they're now in a one-man and there's a rundown situation between third and home, but you also have a runner at second, you need to get back, you need to get in there and assist your partner. We're going to continue to umpire. With that being said, one of the things that I thought would be a good idea would be to add a rule. So I was scouring the rule book, just looking at different rules, and I wanted to come up with a rule that was just kind of a fun one to look at. So Rule 8, Section 2, letter E, the batter runner is out. When the batter runs outside the 3-foot lane, my screen just stopped on me. Runner runs out the 3-foot lane and in the umpire's judgment interferes with the fielder taking the throw at first base. The batter runner may run outside the 3-foot lane to avoid a fielder attempting to field a batted ball. When the defensive player uses a foul portion of the double base, the batter runner can run in fair territory when the throw is coming from the foul side of first base. And if hit by the thrown ball, it is not interference. If intentional interference is ruled, the runner is out. So I threw a couple of questions in here, and I kind of curtailed this to both fast pitch on number 1 and slow pitch on number 2. So a right-handed batter collides unintentional with the first baseman charging the ball down the line. The batter runner had just left the box and was attempting to run in the running lane. What do we have? A dead ball interference, obstruction, or a crash? I'm going to leave that one open to the group. Can anybody give me the answer? So we have a right-handed batter, collides unintentionally with the first baseman charging the ball down the line. The batter runner had just left the box and was attempting to run into the running lane.
Dead ball interference.
Dead ball interference. Number 2.
I'm going to go with a crash, just depending on, I guess, my observation and interpretation of the play. Seeing how she unintentionally did it, and she was just leaving the box. She hasn't established anything as of yet. So maybe she didn't have time to react to where the ball and the player was at to move outside the 3-foot or move into foul territory.
So Rob,
I'm gonna come back and say there's insufficient information because we don't know where the ball is.
Well, when
Hey,
the ball is down the line, the first baseman is charging the ball down the line. It's on the line.
Yeah, does it say that? First baseman is down the line. Okay. First baseline though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Rob,
Yes, sir.
it says the runner has just left the box, but is attempting to run in the running lane. The running lane doesn't start as soon as they come out of the box, so you may not have enough information to answer that.
Right. So this situation has actually happened. So we had a situation where the first baseman's charging, right-handed batter hits the ball, comes out of the box, hasn't had an opportunity to get into the running lane, collides with the first baseman. Because the first baseman has the right to the ball, it was ruled as a dead ball out for interference.
So, Robert,
Yes.
if the ball was farther down the line and the batter runner is running in the running lane, but still collides with the first baseman fielding the batted ball, would it still not be a dead ball interference?
Absolutely. All right, so the second one is kind of more geared towards the slow pitch side, because I was trying to put my slow pitch hat on and kind of thinking outside the box here, but bases loaded. We have one out. A ground ball is hit to F1. F1 fields the ball cleanly and throws to F2, who steps on home plate for out 2. F2 throws to F3 for a possible double play. Batter 1 is hit in the back while running down the line. Batter 1 has 1 foot in fair territory and 1 foot in the running lane. What do we have? So we have a dead ball out because the runner has 1 foot in fair territory, and by rule, the runner, once they establish the running lane, they have to be completed with inside the running lane. Now, their foot can be on the line, but if the foot is entirely out of the running lane and they get hit, then we have a dead ball out interference.
So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna just throw a little thing out for this. So in the rule at the top of the page, it talks about the batter runner can be in fair territory when the throw is coming from the foul side of first base. I know often when that kind of thing happens, when you have that play at the bases loaded, you have the force out at the plate, and then a catcher wants to throw back to first. Often the first baseman will move into the foul side of the bag. So that would be my question on this play is where does the first baseman set up to take the throw? Because if they're on the foul side of the bag, and we're saying that if the first baseman is on the foul side of the bag, then the runner is entitled to run on the fair side. So that would be my kind of question with this that I had before. I would say that it's interference or it's nothing.
So it's a valid point when we talk about, being able to take the throw from the foul side of first base. But we have to understand that that's generally going to happen when the ball is on the foul side, where the throw is going to come from the foul side. It's not going to come from the fair side of the play. And then at this point, we now have to rule, was this intentionally thrown at the player to get a dead ball interference? Because this play is designed from the position of the F2 to be on the fair side. only time I've really seen the foul side being used if the play's on the foul side of the field.